You? All right. Well, here we go. We'll do it again for the second time. Welcome to the Poetry Den, where words once written on a page are now performed on stage and solidarity extends between poets and friends. Thank you all that are joining us virtually. Thankful to my guests that are here live. And thank you to the Civil Rights Heritage Center, who has allowed us to continue to operate as the Poetry Den in this space, as well as using state-of-the-art technology, and George for being here helping us. I'd like to say that if there's anybody that would like to share with us tonight online, virtually, just let us know in the chat, and George will convey that to me, and we'll make sure that you're able to share as well. Everybody can hear me, right? I hope so. So how this works is we haven't done a featured artist. We will get back to that, but right now, we just kind of want to open it up to this new way of doing things and allowing people to share and allowing the time for that. So I will do as I've always done, just randomly pick your name. So hopefully those that are listening will stay with us and listen for your name to be called. And then George will either unmute you, you'll have to unmute yourself, make sure that you're unmuted so that we'll be able to hear you. So just stay tuned, make sure that your volume is turned up so that you can hear us. Again, my name is Pam Blair. I go by stage name of Poetic Melody. And I'm not sure if I said this before, but I'll say it again. This is our 8th year in existence, and we are thankful and glad that we are still in existence. So I'm gonna share, first I'm gonna start off with a poem, and then I will ask those that have signed up to join me. This is a published piece that's called Self-Motivate. People ask if I'm a professor. I say no. But I profess to be a little less stressed by what people think makes my life meaningful or meaningless. If my words don't motivate, then let them lay prostrate across what lacks substance and what we know is the truth, what has importance and a little burden of proof. See, I was taught that putting your gifts where they don't shine is like casting pearls to swine. It's like filling a Dixie cup with fine wine. Its true worth, they don't recognize. When your success is a path and not a destination, it has no depreciation, but leaves room for an open mind and continued imagination. Did you know that your very existence and purpose is your service to others? Then will you discover your life and talents have much to offer. There's a resurrection of love we must reintroduce. Disappointment and rejection lies at the root. Loving yourself and all your imperfections with no excuses. Have visions and live dreams. Not getting the results? Then change your routine. Decide whether you want to grow or be liked, but don't spend time caught between. Let your character speak of gratitude, and your smile change your attitude. Let your words breathe life, and your faith sustain you. That piece is called Self-Motivate. Again, at home, feel free to clap, put clapping signs in. They have little emojis, you can do that. Snap, whatever, shout out. And so I'm gonna ask Eva, if you would join us, would you mind going after me? Snaps at home, snaps here.
1 second. Hi, I'm Eva. This is my second time sharing here, and I have, I think, 4 that I'm gonna try to get through pretty quick. The first two I'm going to read are kind of inspired by this book by Noelle Cocotte. I don't know if any of you are familiar with her. I highly recommend her. She's one of my favorite poets. And the poems in that book kind of tackle tough things in life. I'm taking my glasses off, sorry. They steam up, I can't see it. While kind of going into the bizarre realm. So I've been kind of writing along those lines and just letting myself express what I need to express while kind of fading into the strange. So this first one's called Grieving. The sunbathing elves ate figs on Sunday, read the paper with their ribbon hair rolled up in pastry dough curlers. They dreamt of another world because they were sick of watching famine. One of them bought a herd of cats. They flocked to her like petite pastel mushrooms in May. She would watch them outside her polka-dotted shutters, dancing to Footloose in the pouring Skittles rain. Because when her lover died and her baby melted like hot wax from in between her legs, she had nothing left. So she watched the cats pirouetting in the drenching rainbow wreckage, tied her tongue up against itself for shelter, and wrote poems as her skin puckered in the ultraviolet light of the creme brulee sun. This next one's, like I said, kind of along with Cocotte. And it's also supposed to be a little bit humorous. So this one's called Rick and Mandy. Rick was into anal sex and poetry about cats sunbathing in May. He was very lonely after his wife died, spent his days drinking hard cider from a hand-carved gourd, painting intricate watercolor portraits of her long, tangled soot hair, and cachinnating into the wee hours of the night while watching strung-out pyromaniacs on his primitive television burn the world. One day, Rick met a part-time contortionist named Mandy Morticia Millwork. She was into oral sex and 6,000-page French novels about the Reign of Terror. She spent her days knitting obese Afghans out of corn husk, ice skating on frozen lemonade lakes, dancing half-nude in her 10-acre sunflower field, her bendy body flapping like a ragged mast in the Midwestern wind. Rick and Mandy got hitched in a barnyard chapel. At dusk, little papier-mâché lanterns illuminated the rotted fence post. They invited only their closest friends, 2 one-eyed cats, the local brine master, who was always sweating out pickle juice, and her aging father, his weathered farmhands interwoven in joy as they chanted their vows in iambic pentameter. After the ceremony, they lived for years in a dugout root cellar somewhere east of the land of Bristol, Indiana, until Rick found a slab of cancer in his head. Mandy watched him die, and when she was sure he was not coming back, she wept her way through the vast and endless years until she too died and was buried next to Rick on a steep hill where the moon-eyed teenagers would go to drink and smoke pot, the boys' eager hands warming the girls' goose flesh underneath that dark, dark darkening. And then these next two are a little more less weird, I guess. I don't know how else to say it. This one's called Erosion, and it's in 2 movements. 1, you said we will grow old and sag together like the old farmhouse porch with the weeds growing up in between the cracks. Then the maladies will reveal themselves like tiny fungal morel mushrooms in May, and we can become crooked in each other's arms, bent like ancient trees so that we are inseparable. We can sit coiled together on the corroded porch swing, watching the rabbits leer at the squirrels. Or we could press our spines into the dull lawn like we did on our second date, stare blurry-eyed into the drunk stars stumbling across the Indiana skyline all night until we fall asleep entangled and shivering in the rotted web of each other's arms. Justin, we could grow old together. Part 2. Last year, I was diagnosed with leukemia. I found out there's a lump in my lungs the size of a Concord grape. But you don't cry. You just take my body in yours, press patchouli-scented palms against the rivulets of my temple, and read me poems from your favorite poets, Cocotte, Gluck, Lath, Cummings, and Oliver. Now, a year later, as it expands and intensifies, you bring me hot chocolate with tiny marshmallows frantically trying to stay afloat, and shave my beard, trim away the excess while humming Jeff Buckley ballads, because we both know I am dying. My rusty, brittle bones are breaking apart underneath the weight of breathing. You watch me erode from your reading nook, snuggle next to my hospital bed, and then you drape mesh afghans across my crumbling body to catch the stray pieces as they fall. And this last one's a shorter one. It's called The Waiting. She said open, and he opened like a cloud to her. She would watch him float for days, out of reach, and stack her bones meticulously, waiting for his return. And they say that is love, the waveless waiting and the wordless waging. We divide ourselves for, dividing into the whispering wake of longing. There's always a war, they warn, a silent war to wreck the warmth of lazy Sunday mornings, breakfast in bed together. She learned to plunge into the weightless waiting, let it wash over her windowless body, and watch the clouds accumulate in the stormy Midwestern sky. She said to the wild, woebegone wind, bring him to me. And so he returned, surging. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, all snaps for Eva. Thank you so much for being here a second time. Hope you'll continue to come back. It looks like I got Ralph on the screen. Chairman
Hey, Ralph, you want
Ralph.
to come over here and go on mine?
Yep.
You with us?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Who's going first, you or your wife?
I'll go, I guess.
All right.
Or we can alternate if you want to do it like that.
All right, well, here's Chairman Ralph. We'll go with you first, buddy.
Okay, then. All right. Now I'm comfortable right
We're
here.
having to move over to my computer so he's be on screen.
All right. Hang
Make sure it's unmuted and everything, so you should be on this.
on. All right.
Just use the wheelchair. Right, yeah.
Okay. Here we go. This one very much, if you blink, you miss it. It goes by real fast, but it's dedicated to one of my favorite decades, the 60s. So this is Waiting for the Bang. Marquee Club 65, alliances charted, innocence discarded, guitar rumbles ignited, crushed hot kisses stolen in cold sweat, ears ringing between sets, teen power schemes unleashed, still living and breathing for old ravers like me who never gave a damn, still waiting for the bang.
All right.
All right, and this one, we're hearing so much about the election and elections in general. This is a tip of a hat to a guy who predates all that. He's no longer with us. Our friend Screaming Lord Such, who holds the Guinness Book of World Records entries for the most unsuccessful campaigns by an insurgent candidate. He ran 40 different times between 1963 and 1997, the year he left us, I believe. But it was always in that spirit of, well, I've got something to say and I'm going to say it. So that's what this is dedicated. And I'm asking you to imagine his first campaign for Parliament, what this was like. So he ran as the National Youth Party candidate, he called it. So this is called Run for Your Money. They said it can't be done when I threw my top hat into the ring. How can a pop singer run for Parliament, they said. They'll laugh you right off of the hustings. Maybe so, I said at the time, but this generation needs a voice and it needs to speak its mind. And I've got a mind of my own that they don't want to send. And I don't want to see it spending my time at the assembly line. I'll make it a campaign to remember, a one for all time. And without missing a beat, we picked up our theme. How can you be hung, I demanded, when you can't even vote yet at 18? How did I answer that deepening divide in such a one-sided scheme? Vote for the ghoul, I said. He's no fool. Well, I finished dead last, didn't even get my deposit back. I netted all of 208 votes, a mere 14,792 behind the odds-on winner. Guess what, though? The voting age dropped to 18, and only a couple years later, they took hanging off the books, too. And the powers that be even doled out a red carpet for commercial radio. Guess what, mate? I ran on that, too. Yeah, I gave them a real run for their money, didn't I? Well, just goes to show, I guess the ghoul wasn't such a fool after all. Okay, and along the same spirit, I'll give you a tip of the hat to another one of my favorite eccentrics from this time period, the independent producer Joe Meek, the man who gave you Telstar, which is the best-selling instrumental record of all time. Sold 3 million copies on both sides of the pond in the summer of 1963, US and UK. Even the Iron Lady, Margaret Thatcher, said it was her favorite song of all time. Now, ponder that one for just a minute. But what was unique about him was he made these records all at his home studio above a leather goods shop. He would not work anywhere else. So this is in that spirit, we're going to talk about this, and it's called Telstar Man. I am the Telstar Man. I jump-started these sounds from the palm of my hand, behind the board, and I am always in command. I hear a new world, understand? Late at night, in my flat, I knew I had a winner the minute I heard it. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Where'd you hear that, you ask? Oh, that's not so important, is it? All right, I'll tell you if you don't want to repeat it. On the last try, I heard it. Something about a satellite, Telstar, they'd launched it, said something on the news about it. In fact, signals bouncing back and forth in outer space. By God, I thought, at last, they've cracked it, the secret, they've finally done it. On the spot, I started humming it. The melody, the beat, the hook popped straight into my head the minute I heard it. Do, 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 do. Something like that. God knows how many times on the 2-track it took me till I get it. And then, and only then, I felt ready to present it. Well, I needed a band to play it. So I called in the Tornadoes first, of course, and I hoped to God they'd find a way to capture it. Because I told them, I am the Telstar Man, these sounds and these chords that spring from my hand. It takes a special person to bring them alive, and I am the one who brings them back with this switch in the palm of my hand. Behind the board, I'm always in control and always in command. I hear the possibilities that no one else sees or hears or understands. I am the Telstar Man. I hear a new world every time I rearrange these mic stands. What they don't hear, they don't know. But the minute that distant star beckons, I look at that satellite up in the sky. I am the Telstar Man. And what it tells me, I understand. Okay, your turn, little peep.
All right. Okay. You want me to go now?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she say yes?
Yep, go
Go
for
ahead.
it. Yep, go ahead.
Okay. All right. When I was very young, I got involved into something called the goth culture, and it's part of post-punk. Maybe some of you remember the people in the 80s and the early 90s who wore a lot of black, and they listened to what a lot of people would call gloomy music. This is a poem based on that goth. It's Halloween. It's time to buy a black dress again and silver chains to go with it and raise some cane. Join the elder goths' propaganda dreams with sleek black hair, time past the solstice, living life on a dare. In your corset and furs, listen to Sisters of Mercy, Bauhaus, Fields of Nephilim, The Mission, The Cure. Read esoteric books and talking about reality. Nighttime was the best to take some looks under the stars running through the cemetery. Wiccans and artists developing some cunning. Heartland Times of 1989. Being an art major, not too old yet, going to the clubs to dance, to have dreams among the floodland of expanse. Why do you wear so much black, some used to ask. I was mourning time. I wanted to say fast, neo-Victorian dreams to counteract eroding beauty. Okay, that's number one. All right, this one's kind of was written based on some of the present happenings. Fourth turning is actually a term I use in the poem, and these two researchers, they're kind of sociologists, I'm pretty sure, named Haas and Strauss. They've written books about the fourth turning and how times are supposed to change between generations. They've actually written several books on this. How we ended up here. Alex Jones was always screaming. They wanted everyone afraid of the apocalypse, with life as a Mad Max raid, afraid of demons living in religious delusion as science and reason did fade, afraid of liberals who wanted progress and fair wages to be paid, afraid of tomorrow and of growing old, trying to stop the clock as trickle down grew mold, afraid of the young, life and understanding and vitality all sold, afraid of world war. They wanted everyone dreaming of heating cans of dog food over the barrel. Instead of a future with flying cars, Green New Deals, and equal rights, they want everyone miserable, fighting for every crumb. They wanted chattering teeth and shakes over becoming a bum. The world will never be perfect, but obviously they offer no hope, just fear. And I'm tired of the despair to the rear, and saw more hope in a Star Trek show and its bright future than the Revelation whores in the Republic of Gilead. The fourth turning needs to turn. I don't want the world to burn. That's it.
Lisa, you got one more? Or
Yeah,
you
one more.
Oh, one more.
One more.
Let's see if there's another one here.
By popular demand.
I could do this one. Collections. I have a rock, comic book, antique, and stamp collection. My apartment has towering mountains of plastic bins on each wall. Books piled up, and I want to get more stamps. All little pictures of history, a story in each one. Many older than me, touching things that have been on the planet since 1860s. 1860 gives me a thrill. Even the rocks far longer. What drives people to collect? I'd be like the old man on Storage Wars, digging through mountains of discarded junk to find treasures given enough cash. For now, I'll try and stick with trying to scoop up Grandpa's now abandoned stamp collection on eBay and going through antique and thrift stores, trying to collect snippets of a life I've always wanted. This last one.
All right, let's show some love for Ralph and Lisa. Those at home, snaps, claps, those here. Ralph, I used to do a lot of poetry with him at Expression Session in Benton Harbor. So that's where I first met him, and he was very loyal to that monthly event. So I'm glad to have you both with us. Good to see you all again, and hope you stay well. Stay online, and hope you stay with us. I'm going to have Gail join us next, but I want, before we do that, I would love to have George, who I failed to do at the beginning, just share a little bit about this space. I always like to plug this space because I'm so grateful that we're here, and this is a very significant place in this city. So, George.
Thank you, Pam. I appreciate that. And yeah, just thinking of the new world we live in too, right? You know, like we have all this stuff set up in order to try to gather people here in the space, and I forget that one little mute button to make you have to do it again. So I apologize, and you know how much I love being able to do this out of this space. We gather in what was the city of South Bend's first indoor public swimming pool. It was called the Angman Public Natatorium. And it's that word public that we really focus on. Because if we are to believe that that word public must mean everyone, for to believe that that word public must be inclusive of all types of humanity, no matter who you are, no matter how you're born, no matter where you come from, no matter anything, then this space was not that. It was not public. Because in spite of the fact that African Americans had been coming to the city in record numbers from the 1910s and on, in spite of the fact that it was mostly white people who was in charge of the city and it was in charge of this space, in spite of the fact that that word public was carved into the concrete out front, from 1922 to 1936, the people who ran this place, people who look like me, purposefully and deliberately denied entry to African Americans. And beginning in 1936, it started segregating by day until 1950. That was an act of violence. And it's one that impacted, I don't know how many tens of thousands of people in this city. And by no means was this space alone, not only in South Bend, but in the US as a whole. And so what we do out of this space now, which is the Indiana University South Bend Civil Rights Heritage Center, this space was transformed in 2010 through the efforts of IU students, working in concert with faculty, working in concert with community, working with a coalition of a broad array of people to transform this one space from its history of exclusion into a place of inclusion. And we do that in a lot of different ways. One, by recognizing what that word public means today, and recognizing that the history of injustice in this city has cast echoes that are felt through this day, and that new injustices are done every single day that will continue to cast echoes for decades to come. We confront that head on, and we continue to gather coalitions of people to learn, to listen, to fight, and to make change. But also we need to celebrate. And we need to acknowledge the art and the beauty and the people and the humanity that surrounds us. And one of the reasons, Pam, that I am proud to call you a colleague, a friend, a partner in this thing, is by even in this really difficult, really tough time with so many thousands of people being so radically impacted, we are still here. We are gathering in a different way than we were before, with little boxes on the screen over there and people in person here. But we are gathering and we are celebrating and we are sharing some beauty. So thank you for the privilege of doing that.
Yeah. Once again, I'd like to say I'm sincerely grateful to Poetry Den, sincerely grateful to George for giving up a couple hours, 3-4 hours, probably more like 4 hours of his time on a Sunday to make sure that we can continue to do this. So I'm going to ask next if our friend Gail will share with us. And it looks like she's alive and present. So have at it.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Let me hear some snaps. Okay, cool. I have 5 very short pieces, so I'm happy to be here. I wanted to be there in person, but you know, life happens. My first piece is called My Face, My Race, My Place. My face, my race, my place, embrace me. The me is all that matters. Intolerance only shatters. My pieces go unnoticed. without the remotest possibility of finding the real me, not the one you think you see. My face, my race, my place, unconditionally. Interwoven together, past continually tethered, existing without a clue that our journeys are to absorb all hearts and souls of Earth's family. We're all branches of that tree. My face, my race, my place, awaiting. Freedom of existence to be, daughter of the ancestry, that endured humiliation to the point of migration, yearning to wrap themselves in the cloak of equality. It still doesn't fit me, but I yet hope. My second piece is called Shallow Love. Shallow love is all I have, but I'm not complaining. For I am gaining, entertaining, sustaining, and framing my lack of obtaining commitment. Bam. Shallow love is an interesting concept. Is that an oxymoron? Emotionally foreign, torn, unfaithfulness, unborn, aborted, contorted into lustful interactions? Maybe. Shallow love is a peculiar state. To love, hate, create, date, and escape the fate of the bondage of becoming a misunderstood soulmate? Yeah, I'm good. Shallow love is all right with me. No interest in what you see or perceive or believe or conceive. You can always leave. It just is what it is. Shallow love is just fucking shallow. Whoops. My next piece is called Today's Not a Good Day. Today's not a good day to discuss the latest police killing, as my soul is so tired and unwilling, teetering on the edge of possibly spilling emotions too deep to utter aloud. Today's not a good day to reflect on all the murders of my people, as my responses would be deemed as lethal, yet another deadly sequel to be watched over and over again. Today's not a good day to try to understand their point of view, to demonize the victim in the news. It's really all about the hue. Black is still the same black that forced my ancestors here. Today's not a good day, not a good day, not a good day. But you know what? Tomorrow's coming. Thanks. My next piece is called Perfect Fit. It's hard. I mean, really, really hard to be shy when the perfect fit is right there in front of you, in front of him, beckoning the impartation of your thighs. No inhibitions here, no fear here. Well, maybe a little bit, dear. I mean, hey, it's been a while since I've been flip-flopped, tipped, sopped, sipped, turned, burned, yearned, learned. Oh yes, learned. The seasoned gals, oh yeah, we can be taught a few, quite a few. Whew, new tricks. And the dick. Oh, chick substitute joystick. But speaking of joy, let's talk about that joy that surpasses all understanding. Because I can't understand, where the hell was this joy stick? Sorry, chick, I'm still stuck on the dick. That perfect fit is lit. Oh, wait a minute, I'm still up here. I was so grossed in the thought of the moment, in the stroke of the poke, in the choke of the toke. Where had it been all my life? I mean, hell, I was a good wife. And before that life, I did have one. I partied, I jammed, I had a good time. I was out there without a care. The perfect fit, way back then, I did get, but to be honest, I can barely remember it. But today, this day, woo, this gloriously, wonderfully, newly improved Gail Stacy Day, this perfect fit, I will never forget, because it's the shit. Now, this is pinned as the end, and I just wanted you to know, I was really telling you this. for a friend. Anyway, my last one, and this is it, and thank you all for indulging. It's entitled No Words. I called you today. Where were you? Didn't have a whole hell of a lot to say, just wanted to convey how I slayed, played, and sashayed the negativity of the day. Well, actually, I did have a lot to say, but you didn't answer. Just a jaded, faded, outdated recorded of you saying, beep, leave a message. You know, I text you today. Huh? No response? Just my words hanging in cyberspace without a place or base to land, nowhere to stand, no fanfare, nothing, nowhere. Didn't even care enough to share an emoji. What a bitch gotta do to get a word from you? I hit your phone just one more time. It's not a crime, it's on my dime. Your phone might be in the red instead of the green. It ain't what it seems. That's not what it means. You couldn't be ignoring me, or could you? I liked a Facebook post you shared to show I cared, to show I dared to keep hope alive, reignite our vibe, strengthen our ties. We're still together, right? I mean, hey, I was just trying to say, what's up, babe? What's good today? Are we okay? Then reality hit, way, way, way deep down in the pit of my stomach. Oh, shit. We're done, and I'm done. Thank you for indulging me.
All right, Ms. Gail, thank you so much. Once again, thank you all for being there out in virtual land, and for my guests that are here. If there's anybody out there that was not able to sign up ahead of time and would like to share, please put it in the chat, and my good friend George will let me know. We hope that you'll continue on with us. I would love to have Ms. Pat come join us. Yes? All right.
Glasses up so I can see. There's so much that's going on right now. And I had to have a long conversation with myself about why I should vote again. If it was really worth it, was there going to be anything different? And I found a poem I had written a while ago. It's called How I Got Over. Our faith was born as we lay sprawled, legs chained to planks deep in the belly of a moaning ship, begging our gods, crying for ancestors to spare us their stolen children, to save our dying healers as we sailed through the Middle Passage, never ceasing to believe our entreaties would be heard. We struggled to survive and continued to pray for an end to the dying of the unborn and born children, for an end to this endless journey to the edges of the earth. We could only wait to be beaten, to be eaten, to be sold. Decades later, an unshakable belief in a benevolent grace gave some courage to escape, as slaves sang work songs with hidden meanings while laboring in fields. Merciful ancestors gave us courage to follow Miss Harriet's footsteps, footsteps that never faltered, though chased by hellhounds and hunters, until breathlessly leaping aboard the Underground Railroad, finally heading towards freedom. In the war that freed Black slaves, we fought for freedom as spies, scouts, soldiers. We fought for 40 acres and a mule. We fought until killed or captured. After the war, we waited for 40 acres and a mule. We waited until forced to become sharecroppers shackled by debt, convicts convicted by unjust laws, compelled to toil on land that should have been ours, our 40 acres with mules. Reconstruction brought Black codes. Some of us headed north, but many remained in the South, and we built houses of worship. We built schools sheltered deep within Black communities, schools built with blood-soaked bricks, paid by men and women who never learned to read, paid by men laboring from sunup to sundown in cotton fields, paid by women toiling in kitchens, cooking foods not permitted to eat. On Sundays, powerful preachers rained down words of encouragement to strengthen us for the dark days ahead. On Sundays, the voices of the mothers, the deacons, and the choirs shook the walls, rocked the rooms, and we sang call and response gospel songs to notes on an out-of-tune piano. Yes, the Spirit filled us on Sundays, and we danced our thanks for deliverance from the evils that surrounded us. The Spirit filled us with a powerful faith, and we danced for those we love still with us, even though we remain bound to the land. And we danced until exhausted, as words and unspoken tongue spilled from our lips, then fell into the arms of family. We kept our faith despite despair. We held on to our faith, never seeing the 40 acres and a mule. We remain thankful for deliverance from sharecropping and convict labor, deliverance from hellhounds and hunters. We who never learned to read built schools for our children with blood-stained bricks and never eaten food. Our faith did not fade because we knew that one day we would reach a promised land where we could lay our burdens down, where we would finally rest amid the peace and the stillness. Thank you.
Here we go! My time to rise. It's my time to shine. It's my time to live. It's my time to fight. It's my
All right, give it up for Pat, please. Everybody out there in virtual land here at the center. Is my guy Tom. Tom, are you present and ready to roll, my friend?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you, but I can hear you. Is that a good thing?
I don't know why you can't see me. What am I supposed to do here? I'm new to this. Do I hit view up in the corner?
Yeah, you got a video. There's a video, and it probably has a slash through it. If you click on that, you should be able to pop up there.
A video with a slash.
Probably down in the...
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it down there. All right, I didn't know that. Now can you see me?
Yeah, looks like you're there. There you are. All right, Tom. Welcome.
Thank you. Let's see, I think I have like 7 or 8 short poems that I'm going to do. A lot of them have to do with either personal things to me and or the COVID that we've experienced. The first one is called "The Void Cannot Be Filled." Just a short background on this. Our youngest son passed away when he was 27, and he would be 30 coming up this November. And there isn't a day that doesn't go by that we don't think about him. But anyway, this one is called "The Void Cannot Be Filled." Every day I look at pictures of my son, mainly the ones presenting him in good health. It is a need I have to distract my mind from his sudden death. At first, the pictures triggered emotions of extreme sadness, and in my solitude, I would cry my pain and sorrow out, grieving. But now I'm able to peruse the pictures without crying, but the pain of his loss is not lessened. As his presence and his conversations are missed, these are things that grieving cannot provide, since there is always a reminder, the empty seat at the table. This one has to do with the COVID. Next couple really do. Anyway, this is called I Am Going Crazy. It's October 21st, 2020, and I am talking to myself out loud, unlike yesterday or the day before, in which I only had thoughts of how much longer can I take this self-quarantine. Because emotionally, it is starting to affect me, with me asking me if I am going crazy. Quickly, I say out loud, do not answer that. The next one is called isolation. I wrote this one when, just about after we learned what COVID was, that it was such a bad virus. Isolation. A certain kind of loneliness from being in lockdown as I am confined to my home, with a sense of uncertainty and no control, separated from family and friends. I miss their personal touch, not the sexual kind, but the camaraderie and the togetherness of being with them. Because a virtual visit is not the same as being in another's presence, with the touch of their hand to mine or a huge friendly hug, sharing the love. The next one has to do with COVID too. My brother lost his wife, and basically this is what happened to him. It's called I Listened. What could I say to my brother whose wife is dying? How helpless he felt as he poured out his soul with his grief and sorrow. He said the doctor told him she will die soon, likely within 24 hours. Sad, just so sad, my brother said, and the hospital won't let me see her to say my last goodbye. And we cannot have a mass or a funeral because of the COVID virus. I did not know what to say, so I sat still next to him and I listened. Then he paused for a moment, put his left hand on my right shoulder, and he said, thanks. And all I did was listen. This one is called, Could It Be Any Better? Any better I can be than when I was a teen with a full head of hair and a 42-inch chest and a 32-inch waist. And after every high school dance, I found romance, parked in a car by Lake Michigan, where we would listen to the rhythmic sounds of the waves as they slapped upon the shore. Back then, life was great, no concerns, no worries or pressing issues. We were young and living in our own little worlds. Now, 50 years later, I am fat and bald, still love to dance, and I am romantic with my lovely wife. Could it be any better? Sure, it could, like no joint pain. This one is called Going Bananas. A frank sexual look from a stranger's eyes. A woman in the grocery store wearing a medical mask. Oh, my mind imagined. Oh, what my mind imagined her look to mean. Something, I thought, forbidden, as she held her eyes upon me while she held a banana and stroked its peel. She spoke to me. This one is ripe and ready and probably very sweet. I do not feel any soft spots, she said. As she gently squeezed it, she winked at me and places the banana in her shopping cart. While I stood still in wonder, not sure what to think, safely I stayed by the fruit as she rolled forward, shopping. She did not look back, and I did not buy any bananas. here's the last one I'm going to read. It's from my book that I had published, self-published myself. And this one is called Duck and Cover, Atomic Bomb School Drill. Children play at recess. They have fun at 1:30 p.m. A blaring alarm sounds. Their teacher says, "Children, it is an atomic bomb drill. Quickly now, get under your desk and cover your heads with your hands." Now, having watched the newsreel on black and white TV about the atomic bomb test our government detonated out west in the Nevada desert, there on the TV screen, a gigantic blast flashed and a dark cloud rose up into the clear blue sky in the shape of a dark mushroom, and a shock wave radiated out so violently it blew buildings apart. Now, at 6 years of age, I was not a scientist, but I could surmise by observation that if our school got hit, I could kiss my ass goodbye. Thank you.
Tom, thank you for being here, man.
You're welcome.
So I want to see if Victoria, are you out there? Hey, Victoria, is she with us at all? All right. I also want to say that, Tom, thank you for sharing that poem. And not only myself, but I believe that the poetry den also Mrs. Sean. And we know that he is an instrumental part of you being a part of us. So thank you for sharing that poem. And with every day, I think it might get a little easier, even though it's hard. I think the appreciation is definitely a lot fonder.
Can I say one thing?
You can.
Donna and I have put together a book of poems of Sean's, and I added only, I think there's like 36 poems and one short story of his. And then I added 10 poems of mine. He and I were always going to do a book together, except I could never get Sean to sit down and decide what poems he wanted to put in the book.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. And I was hoping to have it printed by November here for his 30th birthday, but some of the people I had helping me edit it and so forth, just, you know, life gets in the way and things got behind. But I'm going to be pretty close with that. It'll be out in November, I'm pretty sure. It's called A Book of Poetry of Wandering and Wonder by Sean and Tom Christensen. So
awesome. Make sure you keep, or at least keep me updated about that, and we'll, you know, definitely get that out there for anybody that would like to purchase or have one of those. I know I want a copy, so.
Okay, I appreciate, I appreciate that. I really, truly do. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Tom.
Yep.
All right. My friend, are you ready, Mr. John? Our next poet is John. John is out of Elkhart, and actually, you guys aren't doing anything right now, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do something in November.
Okay, so he also hosts a poetry event called Word Play in Elkhart, and I'm so glad that they're doing something in Elkhart. That's my hometown, so I'm glad that poetry is definitely has a space there. So please at home, please here, welcome John to the mic.
Thank you. Great to be here. Seems like it's been forever since I've done any poetry. So I'm really excited about this. First I want to do a poem by a poet called Alex Caldiero. And he wrote this a little bit after the Gulf War in 2005. And it's still pretty, it still really resonates, especially with the way things have been. It's called Poetry is Wanted Here. You don't sound so good. Please take care. Most of this is mental. That's why it's terrorism. It's meant to disconcert, make you revert to blind fear. Poetry is wanted here. And to boot, our homegrown nuts have starting to take root. Yet in most part, things are calm and generally subdued. But there have been hoaxes and folkses getting anxious and ready to conclude that it's hopeless and drear. Poetry would be helpful here. So I'm going to poetize to realize that you cannot hide when worlds collide. No going inside, no taking a breather either. It all comes on you at once. You got to have at least an ounce of hope and joy to deploy into the atmosphere of fear, to implode the load of grief that's drawing near. Poetry is desired here, because all peoples are just like you are, and I are, close or far, are just people with nowhere to run. Let's stick a flower into every gun, like way back when, or was that just a dream? Can't say now, feeling so low, seeing so bleak, thinking so drear. Songs are needed here, rhyming and timing and rebirth of cheer. Poetry would be good here. Bam! We are human after all. America, venerable yet vulnerable, and human after all. That's our strength and the real meaning of this substance, that we can fall and scroll and rise and be surprised and not take for granted the morning sun so beautiful and dear. Poetry is wanted here. Forgive me for ranting, for panting, for chanting out of tune. That's the fool in me, seeking a tune in me, wanting to stay light and free from what would oppress, depress, regress, obsess, and in general make a mess of my soul. I want to be whole in control, on a roll without the slightest hint of fear. Poetry is needed here. So, my dear friend, hang in, hang on, hang tight. We got to see this to the end. We got to be concerned and discern the real enemy that we fight, for the veil between truth and light is become so thin and sheer. Poetry is wanted here. Thank you. And yeah, I'm going to do another kind of barn burner one here. This is called Waffles, and I don't know where this came from, but there you go. Waffles. I stood in the kitchen alone in the house as Laurel went for a walk, and I filled the sink with dirty dishes and hot lime-scented Ajax soap. For some unknown reason, like Brandon screaming, "Stella!" or Sting growling, "Roxanne!" I inflated my lungs, filling the diaphragm completely, like Mrs. Van Arsdale had taught me in voice lessons, and let out my own shout. Waffles! Now that's not some clipped 2 syllables, like a 30-second ad for Eggo's chocolate chip variety. No, it was long and lusty, deep and warlike, the syllables extending to fill 4 or 5 seconds. It was like Walt Whitman's barbaric yelp, echoing through the house. Waffles! Scaring the cats. Waffles! My neighbor Mike wondering if there was a domestic breakfast disturbance. Waffles! Before you laugh at my word choice, this is not based on my devotion to a breakfast food. The word itself feels good in my mouth to speak. The arrangement of the W begins softly, and the open mouth A sound that gains volume and intensity before being joined to the hard F and finally being tamed by the ending of the L and the S sounds. It feels like a firework shooting from within my throat. As words that one shouts, it is not so different from shouts of freedom, victory, or liberty, or even the Mexican Revolution grito of Tierra y Libertad. It's a shout, it's a mantra, it's a battle cry, a sacred utterance, something you love, a group of words believed to have spiritual or psychological powers. It's been a while since I've shouted. A corporate life of emails and phones, driving the white Buick to work and church, mowing the lawn, trimming the weeds, washing the dishes. My life tends towards quietness, and I see all the unfairness, the hatred, the prejudice, and selfishness in the world. There's anger in me that I can't solve it. I can't fix it. Sometimes it feels like all I can do is shout, waffles! Waffles aren't partisan. Waffles aren't prejudiced. Waffles aren't predators. Waffles aren't perverts. To me, they are a symbol of a world without hatred and selfishness. Malty batter, cooked crispy, slathered in butter, baptized in the sweetness of sap boiled down from an ancient tonal tree, joined with bacon or sausage, salty and sweet, and a cold glass of milk. I know it's crazy, but I think waffles can bring us together.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'll do one more. Okay, all right. This is called the Lab Technician, and this was published in Misfit magazine, along with my other food poem, Cheese Sandwich. Anyway, it's called the Lab Technician. Somewhere there is a lab technician working in a nondescript building, an anonymous cog in research and development, adding colors to floor cleaners and new scents to urinal deodorizers. No one wants to hear about their job. They'll never be famous. Their reward is good money, decent benefits, and low expectations. They have grudgingly accepted the world won't care when they're gone. After morning coffee, I stand at the urinal. Hints of autumn pears as spices and floral tones, not overwhelming, still crisp and subtle, like a fine wine. The smell of multiple visitors before me is gone, thanks to a flower-shaped gel insert blooming in the porcelain below. I've just cut the ribbon on the luxury urinal grand opening, going where no man has gone before as the auto-flush engages. During my lifetime, I've pissed on pine trees and sagebrush and truck stops and Waffle Houses, government offices, and Applebee's. Once I pissed in a metal trough bolted to a wall outside a Costa Rican cantina. Next to a dairy farm, the cows judging me says somehow lacking in their languid eyes. Once I pissed in a Mexican gas station. The sign said under construction, but it looked like it had been hit by a rocket-propelled grenade. A chaotic appearance and unforgivable smell that caused me to despair human experience. In light of all this, I celebrate you, unnamed lab technician, slimy politicians, self-important actors, auto-tuned musicians, all celebrated for feats of marketing, thinly disguised as great achievements. But you, whoever you are, this world is a better place for you. Beauty conquering filth, art overcoming the worst of us. Because of your work in obscurity, as long as this poem lives, the world will not forget what you have done. Thank you. And here's one about COVID. So this is called Long Distance Fatherhood in the Age of COVID-19. 3:31 a.m. in the morning. I am drifting in and out of sleep with a 6-pound calico somehow taking up a third of the bed between me and my wife as she attempts to suck body heat from us like some delicate little green-eyed vampire of sorts, and my CPAP machine leaking at the edges. My dreams have been all over the map lately, but at least I've stopped having dreams about delayed emails and return authorizations for bassoons from Puerto Rico. Tonight, the dream took the most unexpected turn as I dreamt of Kevin Bacon spending 60 days in a county lockup because of forgetting to pay lost speeding tickets. The dream continued as a delicate little blonde waif of a daughter mock scolded Mr. Bacon because she missed her dad very much and made him promise to never go to jail again. Kevin Bacon at this time is 61 years old, and Sosie Bacon is his 28-year-old brunette daughter. My own 23-year-old blonde daughter is 20 miles away in South Bend, and I'm here in Elkhart. She works at a hospital, and with my own very delicate health history, I am extra quarantined from seeing her. I miss her. I miss changing the battery in her car in the middle of winter. I miss taking her hiking and stopping at Wabash Donuts in Warsaw on the way. I miss giving her money for cigarettes because she's between paychecks. She's doing so much better at the adult things now that I miss being needed and simply hearing her talk on and on about everything and nothing as we drive somewhere where she will undoubtedly spend money. And I love her very much. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, everybody. everybody out there, snaps and claps for John. Appreciate you being here all the way from Elkhart, Indiana. Again, we want to offer anyone that's out there virtually that would like to share with us tonight. If any of you would like to share another piece, just let me know. Right now, it looks like we've gotten everybody that wants to share. I was going to do a piece, another piece, and after that, I'll see if anybody else wants to share. If you out there would love to, we'd love to have you. Again, this is the Poetry Den. Glad that you're with us. This is a favorite piece of mine. It actually came up, I believe, on my Facebook feed, but it's called I Want to Dream, and it's for all the dreamers out there. It's one of my favorites, and it's set to some music that was from Child of the King, so. I want to dream outside reality, where feeling good is my morphine, and living life is carefree. I want to dream of sand in my toes, wearing white linen clothes, blowing an ocean breeze. Please, please, don't disturb me. I'm dreaming. I want to dream of my topless bends, scarf in the wind. Mountains are my scene, warm sunshine and a gangster lean. I want to dream of that hot summer day, pop-up showers soften the day, and the rainbow I see has an end, beginning with me. I want to dream of that warm embrace, my face against your face, as our hands and fingers entwine, and your smile that says, I'm yours, and you are mine. I want to dream that our love is so deep, too deep for sorrow, too deep to borrow, that knock knock. Can I get some sugar till tomorrow? I want to dream that intimacy is not broken sexuality, but longer than the repeat of my favorite song, expressing how I feel about you all day long. I want to dream, dreams that come true and forget nightmares that only scare and impair my vision of what God has declared. I want to dream. Do you? Thank you so much. Once again, we got time. If there's anybody out there, you see anybody, George? Oh, my goodness. All right, are you here? Can you perform? You want to? All right. All right, my friend Rod, man, he always comes through for me. So y'all show some love out there, virtual land for Rod. Sorry, I put you on the spot. You know how we do.
Okay. Keep it moving? Okay. Oh, okay, good. This piece is called That's What We Get. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. The sound is really good, actually.
Okay. That's what we get. All I ever wanted was my space. But I guess it was too much to ask to have room to breathe. Now I'm in a room with a mask and I can't breathe because they told us it was safe. And I wouldn't have access to this virus if I blocked some friends. But it seems like they don't want to address this virus, so they locked us in and told us just in case. Now this nation is faced with a case of corona. So I drink till I'm wasted, a case of corona. They insist that we social distance because of this sickness. We've been imprisoned, held captive in a cell by a handheld cell, and I don't see the difference. And now I'm writing on the walls to keep you updated with me. Fighting off coughs so they don't think I'm sickly. You see, no longer can we gather in packs and clubs, and I'd rather give you elbow taps than daps and hugs. Look what it's come to. This world is literally out of touch. I'm afraid to touch you, but I'll tag you. So I guess we made America great again, MAGA. I believe the powers that be initiated a fall, and then COVID-19 segregated us all. Plus we're fooling with a lunatic whose repertoire is piss poor. And now we're all behind the wall. So be careful what you wish for.
Thank you out there, snaps and claps, Mr. Rod. Anybody else? You want to? Okay. Okay. All right. Once again, we're going to bring John back up. If there's anybody out there that would like to share, we'd love to have you. We still got some time. So once again, give it up for John as he comes back to the mic.
Thank you so much. I rolled up my sleeves because I'm like ready. In the Michiana area, there is a great website and publication called Panoply Michiana, and if you're not in with them, you should get in with them. They're doing a lot of good things for poetry and for art, and so they let me. They took some of my poetry and they take some of our others, and so it's good. It's really good stuff. Another COVID poem. I remember when we first got quarantined, I read a story in San Francisco about coyotes being seen, and I kind of just let my mind wander of animals taking over. And this is called New Management. Coyotes roaming the streets of San Francisco, finding their ways into classic vinyl shops. Raccoons construct a pirate radio station from the shuttered electronics warehouse. They build it on the abandoned pigeon coop on the roof of the apartments where Jack Kerouac lived. A possum in Wayfarer spins classic jazz. Charlie Parker and Vince Giraldi on AM 1270. Foxes and rabbits dance in the moonlight. Predation unnecessary with so much trash to eat. Poodles are safe since the coyotes discovered Carl's Jr. Moonlight howls blend with hard bop as the fog rolls in. Thank you. And as far as believing, really coming to a belief in what white privilege means. A few years ago when the gentleman got stopped in, I think it was Minneapolis, and he told the gentleman, he told the law officer that he had a weapon and he had a permit, and he still ended up getting shot. And that really spoke to me, because I realized that could have been me. And I wrote this poem. It could have been me, but it wasn't. And that was why I knew that white privilege was not some sort of liberal invention, that it's a real thing. White privilege bears its ugly head. A black pistol rode in my glove box on those long car trips to Evansville. 9mm with a 10-round clip and one in the chamber. In my wallet is a pink card issued by the state of Indiana stating I am legally authorized to carry this weapon as long as I remain a proper person. 3 times in 2 months, I was pulled over for various things: speeding, sliding through a stop sign, worst of all, driving a rented Chevy Impala with Massachusetts plates through a small Indiana town. 3 times I handed the officer my documents. 3 times I told him I had a weapon in the car. 3 times I received a warning. I get "have a nice day" while law-abiding black men die. I have white privilege, it's hard to deny. You can say Black Lives Matter is a lie, but as the white man on the other side, I know what's the real lie. No one ever drew their gun on me. I received better treatment for no other reason than my pale, pasty smile and my highly refined redneck charms. Let me be clear, saying Black Lives Matter is as patriotic as we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. It's the same idea. It only specifies one of the parties of men that are equal to all others. If we can't say that Black Lives Matter without adding a "but" at the end, without some type of disclaimer, we need to ask ourselves why. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, John. A great piece to kind of end with. For those, Ralph? Oh, Ralph Fentime. Okay, cool. I also want to say for those of you out there, please spread the word. We have a Facebook page. Make sure you sign up to the Facebook page and tell those that you know that are interested in poetry to sign up for it, or sign up or like our Facebook page, and you'll see updates there as we continue to move through the year. So I'm going to ask Tom, since I see your face right there. Are you unmuted? Is he unmuted? All right.
No, I'm here.
All right. Let's do it, Tom.
Okay. I'm going to read, I think, like 3 different ones out of my book here. This first one is called "A Tiring Time." 4 p.m. on a Monday after a hard weekend. She would not leave me alone. I am sore as hell at her for being on my case. After all I did was spill some wine. Well, maybe the whole bottle on her new white carpeting. Red wine, a large puddle. Hell, I do not remember. Too drunk to know what I had done. And she was too drunk too. We must have danced through that red wine puddle. Our footprints were everywhere. This one's called "A Love with Pain Never Lasts." So what are you going to do? Hurt me some more? Cannot hurt what does not feel. Pain no more. What love that was done went and gone. Long time ago, long time no love. No more can you hurt me because I do not care that that love died and you ain't here. This one's called "A Breakfast at My Mom's House." The smell of bacon cooking in an iron skillet directs me on my way. With a strong northerly breeze blowing in my face, snowflakes, large lake effect ones falling slowly upon fall's warm earth, and it melts as it touches the land. I pause at her front steps and remember my childhood years, letting my senses take it all in. I catch some snowflakes on my tongue just before entering my mother's house, my home for 18 years. Thank you.
Man, Tom, as soon as you said bacon in a cast iron skillet, like I immediately smelled that and tasted it. And it's not the Oscar Mayer bacon. I don't know what that thick bacon is. And I was like, either I'm hungry or that was a great description. So I'm thinking that was a better description than it was me being hungry. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Oh, Ralph,
Yeah, right here.
let's do it.
All right. Yep, right here. These are two from the back catalog. So we'll close with their greatest hits. First one, this actually happened to me. This is what happens when you deal with anybody in officialdom, I'm afraid. Names have been omitted to relieve the guilty from retribution. This is called 1,000 Cuts. This is how the drill runs every month. The refrigerator goes bare, the cupboard strips naked, and the canned goods that we stocked up last month have been missing in action. Call it death by 1,000 cuts. My wife and I tramped down to the Salvation Army, where the food of the gods seems in equally short supply. And don't even ask them about the nectar. It's scarcer than water or decent waiting room furniture. Looks like death by 1,000 cuts. After cooling our heels, we finally get called in, and after a few preliminary questions, the worker's tongue drops the brass knuckles. How much do you get in food stamps? How much do you make a month? How much do you spend? Hands up if you run empty, death by 1,000 cuts. And right then her eyes narrow to slits. The computer has flagged you, she explains. You've been here 3 times this year. Another pause for effect. If you come back again, she says, we'll have to review your budget, or you might have to take a class. I let her words wash over me, trying not to take them so personally. 4 hours of sleep will do that, you know. I'm running in place, but not just for fun. Death by 1,000 cuts. I'm just wondering what's left to budget with 5 people for every job, myself included. Like that old school song says, nothing from nothing leaves nothing, right? But you gotta have something. Death by 1,000 cuts. Anyway, we finally score 2 grocery bags and take them home. At least there's a whole chicken this time and a bag of sausage patties, plus the usual suspects, generic macaroni and cheese, crackers, tomato soup, and cans of green beans and corn, every canned off-brand to beat the band, some bearing dents, others bearing a tear here or there, all bought, begged, or donated from folks who cared, or so they like to say. Smells like death by 1,000 cuts. I've since related my experiences to a friend who ran in place to buy groceries just like me, and he said, you know something? There's a thin line between philanthropy and sadism. Call it death by 1,000 cuts. Okay, thank you. And this last one, this actually has seen the light of day. It was in, you know, the name of the publication escapes me, but it was their punk rock issue, so I was happy. That's my background, punk rock. So here you go. Culture as commodity. To the email carpet bomber whose plea begins, lend this up and coming band a hand, listen to our hit and mostly missed love song, vote for our never-ending video story, send our careers airborne, and while you're at it, don't forget to sing along. I know you can't stand working at the shoe store anymore. I get it. Between you and me, I know the score. I'm working from home amid multiple deadlines, conspiring to reduce the quotient of my fun. But if I don't, then everything I own winds up on the sidewalk. In the 1920s, they referred to this sort of arrangement as a protection racket. At least they were honest about that kind of thing back then. Anyway, I already know what you want. A life of privileged isolation, surrounded by wanton young things of every description, filtered away through wraparound shades of dubious prescription. Well, here's the deal. I don't need another novelty schlock song, no matter how clever it all sounds, once you finally found the right chords to string together. But I could use a hand with this leaky gutter. The siding is straining for some replacement. And don't even get me started about the muffler dangling like a snake beneath my aging Dodge Caravan. If you want to help with these projects, any and all comers, you are more than welcome. Guess that means I'm not voting in your confidence. Well, so sorry, but let's just call the mutual decision. I don't have to hear your music. You don't have to take my money. Call it culture as commodity. So goes life in today's nonstop rock and roll technocracy, and I'm damn sure you won't even miss me.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ralph. Appreciate that, man. Gail, I heard you would love to share with us again. We'd love to have you share again.
Okay, I think I got a couple. I got to try to pull them up on this little laptop. Just a second.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just chitter chatter for a minute. Again, you are at the Poetry Den. We hope that you'll continue to be with us. We're probably doing this virtual thing for a minute. So hopefully we'll be all pros at it at some point, or as close to it as possible.
Okay.
All right.
Just two short ones. The first one is, who says? The woman in me says, let him go. The mother in me says, keep him close. The lover in me says, one for the road. The bitch in me says, just get him told. The dreamer in me says, together we'll grow old. But none of that matters because he's found another woman and I have nothing to say. And the second one is, called, and I've done this one before, Your Perception of Me. You don't know anything about me or the person I aspire to be. The imagery you so desperately cling to is a recurring nightmare that wakes me up in the middle of the night wondering how the hell will anything ever change? You have and will continue to fight every good thing I stand for, choosing to believe that constitutional bullshit that I am equal to you. Yet your ass, your lips, your color, your hair continually mock, imitate, and conjugate to me. Oh, wait a minute. It's not me that you really want to be. It's your perception of me. A glance, a look, a silhouette of my colorful, shapely, jovial, fine-ass blackness. That's all you want. That's all you could handle, just your perception of me. Because baby, if you walked a day, an hour, a minute in my shoes, your delicately privileged existence couldn't handle it. You'd beg to revert back to the sanctity, safety, and security of a world that is your oyster. But this too shall pass. A reckoning is on its way. Every evil deed done in the darkness is coming to light, a bright light that refuses to be hid. My blackness will shine in that light. Can you see it yet? It will enlighten the never-ending past, present, and future journeys of my people. It will never dim. The perception of me will become reality. Your reality and my reality will be one, and the clouds will rejoice with a rain of tears from my ancestors that have been waiting so very long. You see, your perception of me that you try to be barely scratches the surface of the stratums of my Blackness. It's just too fucking deep for you to really understand. Okay, that's all I got.
All right. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, thank you. Tom, if you got 2 more pieces, yeah, we'll have you share a couple, 2 more if that's okay.
Yeah, if you want me to do 2, I can do more if you want.
We'll do 3. How about that? And then we'll. What?
Don't be a glutton, John.
Ah, he said, "Don't be a glutton, modest, whatever." No, we love you, Tom.
Hey, I was just trying to pitch in.
No, I appreciate you, man.
Okay, this is from Wordplay Anthology #2, and it's called Gone But Remembered. It is the way the wooden bench is placed, a position of sadness, a position of loneliness, a semi-secluded place where I can come in privacy to grieve and release emotions into the wind, especially the emotions of separation, which totally never heals, because there is a void that cannot ever be filled. The next one is called Nightlife Begins. And an index finger to lips she thinks, but does not act. A fleeting thought, perhaps. She will change her mind and take advantage of the present offer later in the night. No words spoken, just a kiss. Then 2, lights out. Then snoring starts. This one is called She Wants Me to Touch Her. Excuse me there. Her eyes told me she wants me to touch her, but I am not attracted to her as she is to me. She tries to stay close by my side, but I keep moving away. Finally, I sit in my favorite chair. She comes wagging her tail and places her head upon my right thigh, begging to be petted. She looks up into my face with her big brown eyes. So hungry for attention, I give in and pet and scratch her head. She sits and stays by my side the rest of the evening, nudging my leg for more petting and scratching. There you go.
All right. Okay, so I think we might have concluded tonight's Poetry Den. Once again, we hope you'll join us again, whether you're here in person or whether you're virtual. We'd love to have you. We'll probably do the same kind of setup where we'll ask if anybody wants to perform, if they'll email me, so we make sure that people get on the list and prepare. But we also will leave it open for those that want to share, can always get in the chat and talk to us too. So thank you all for being here. Want to encourage you all. It would be amiss if I did not say, please go out there and vote. Vote, vote, vote. And we'll see you next time. Thank you all for being here as well. Everybody stay well.